Since the Nintendo eShop on the 3DS and Wii U officially closed for good on the 27th of March 2023, 3DS hacking has become an extremely popular topic, even having several memes created about it. Now, this video isn't a guide as to how to hack your 3DS, but rather a video explaining why you would even want to do that in the first place. Before we dive into that topic though, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in handheld consoles, right? Well, in that case, why not check out our book series, A Handheld History? The second book tackles all of the handhelds released from 1988 to 1995. So things like the Atari Lynx, the Sega Game Gear, and of course, the Game Boy. And the best news of all is that it's available to pre-order now from Lost in Cult. So what are you waiting for? Go to lostincult.co.uk and take a look. Links in the description. So, let's get this party started. What can a hacked 3DS do that a regular 3DS can't? Before we get started here, I do just want to do a bit of maintenance. Firstly, if you plan on hacking your 3DS after watching this, you're doing so at your own risk. Don't come for me if your console gets bricked or anything. And secondly, piracy is bad and you should only access games which you already own. Don't be a criminal, okay? Now, if you follow this popular 3DS hacking guide, you're gonna end up with a load of things installed on your system. Stuff called Boot 9 Strap, Luma 3DS, God Mode 9, and all sorts of stuff. That sounds fancy, but what does it actually mean for a normal non-hacker like me? Well, to start things off, once you've got yourself a hacked 3DS, the first thing you might want to do is try out its emulation capabilities. So, I downloaded RetroArch, which was actually quite easy to do, and gave it a go. Of course, Nintendo officially supported emulation and sold NES, Game Boy, SNES, Game Boy Advance, and Game Gear games on the store, so we already know that the console is capable of this. The elephant in the room, of course, is that with a hacked 3DS, you technically don't need to pay to gain access to these games. I mean, to be fair, even if you wanted to pay for these, you actually can't now, considering they shut their official store. But the more interesting element here is that because you've got a hacked console, you not only have access to games which were never officially ported to the 3DS, but access to entire systems not officially supported either. I'm talking Sega Mega Drive, Atari 2600, and even Nintendo DS. Admittedly, the DS emulation is a little bit pointless considering the 3DS is fully backwards compatible with the DS anyway, but still, you can do it if you really wanted to. The quality of the emulation performance is going to be drastically altered by which model of the 3DS you have. I only have the 3DS XL, which is one of the least powerful variants, but if you have one of the new 3DS or 2DS variants of the system, they are actually fairly significantly upgraded, and this allows you to much better take advantage of the emulation capabilities, as well as providing you with a right analog stick too. By doing this, I'm able to play my favourite NES game of all time, Bionic Commando, on my 3DS, and this is a game that annoyingly was never actually officially available on the eShop and isn't even on the Switch either. Where is the love for this series? Outside of emulation though, you can also run homebrew software, allowing you to customize your console with things like themes for your home screen, giving you access to apps like a third-party YouTube client, and most importantly of course, allowing you to play games that you never thought would have ran on the 3DS. There's ports of Half-Life, Doom, an enhanced port of Super Mario 64 which runs in widescreen and even has versions with updated character models. You can play Sonic Mania, which is pretty impressive considering that that was released relatively recently, and potentially the single most insane thing I found is a full port of Grand Theft Auto 3. I never would have thought that this could have ran on the 3DS. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, the scene for fully original homebrew games on the 3DS is extremely small at the moment. However, I do imagine that this will grow over time as more and more people become familiar with the inner workings of the hardware. Again, just like with emulation, some homebrew games will struggle to work on the old 3DS models. In fact, the port of Grand Theft Auto 3 literally doesn't work at all. So if you want to take full advantage of this stuff, you might want to consider upgrading to a new model. Now, despite original homebrew games having quite a small scene at the moment, what does have a big movement is ROM hacking or modding. This is particularly popular with the Pokemon games, and by hacking the 3DS, you can of course get access to all of them and play them on your handheld. Obviously these are also quite easy to get on the PC, but to me it feels way more natural playing them like this. If you're interested in looking at some of the best Pokemon ROM hacks, take a look at this article over on the RetroDodo website. A link will be in the description if you want to give that a read. Outside of Pokemon though, we also have mods for Mario Kart 7 which are straight up insane. This one called CTGP7, that's a bit of a mouthful to say that one out loud, adds in 50 community-made tracks consisting of retro ones and brand new fan-created ones, a single-player versus mode which was absent from the base game which lets you play any tracks you want in any order, it adds in the 200cc mode from Mario Kart 8, it's playable online and even implements new game types into the multiplayer too. On top of that, it even has tons of new characters and cards. Literally, it's worth hacking the 3DS for this one mod. It's basically a brand new Mario Kart game. There's also other games like Super Mario 3D Land and Animal Crossing New Leaf featuring great mods as well, so definitely take a look at those if you want more content in some of these awesome 3DS exclusives. I also want to mention that hacking your 3DS enables this nifty little feature where you can insert a physical game cartridge like normal, but then dump it onto the console so that you can access it as if you had the digital version, no cartridges needed. This is a very handy feature considering that this is a handheld device, and you probably don't want to take a million cartridges with you every time you take the 3DS outside. And plus, something about this feels less morally wrong than straight up downloading ROM files online, considering you're literally playing a digital replica of the same game that you actually own. This brings me to the final reason why you would want to hack your 3DS. You can, of course, download full-on 3DS games, and while I don't think that you should do this for games which you can still buy physically, there are quite a lot of games that were wiped from existence with the closure of the eShop. Or at least that's what Nintendo would have you believe. Because yes, you can access those digital-only games by hacking the 3DS, and you can even download DLC for games which you own too, which is just absolutely incredible for game preservation. Without this, games like Pushmo, or Pool Blocks as it's called here in Europe, Box Boy, Harmonite, and the 3D Classics versions of retro games would be completely lost. So while I don't like piracy, Nintendo literally aren't giving us any other choice if we want to play this stuff, so I'd say that's fair game. So, is it worth hacking the 3DS? Absolutely. The amount of features you get access to when the system is fully unrestricted is actually quite incredible. You've got emulation, homebrew apps and games, access to games which were wiped from the official stores, hacked and modified versions of games, and to top it all off, you've even got nice quality of life stuff like being able to dump your physical cartridges onto the system. To think that the 3DS has been capable of all this stuff for all this time is pretty amazing, and while I really hate how Nintendo have so quickly abandoned the system, it might have actually have worked out for the best because it's brought all of this into the spotlight. Quite honestly, it's given me way more reasons to play the system, and I'll definitely be going back to it a lot more now that I've hacked it. Let me know if you've hacked your 3DS and what some of your most used features are, or what some of your most played games are. For now though, I've been Rob from RetroDodo, and I'll see you in the next one.